Before everything else, I wanted to welcome everybody who joined this session this morning. And if you see here, I tried to write welcome with the molecules of DNA, which we will be talking about today for not only DNA, all the big molecules that make the subject of the bioinformatics. So welcome, very happy that you guys were able to join. Here is what I will try to present to you today. So first of all, here on the left, you'll see this is our Master of Science program in Bioinformatics and Molecular Biochemistry, which is hosted by the Department of Biochemistry and Molecular Medicine in the School of Medicine and Health Sciences in the GWU, George Washington University. So I'll try to introduce the people who lead the program. I'll also tell you how did it start, so a little bit of history, how it was developed, and why we thought it was important to develop it. Then we'll talk a little bit about what is bioinformatics, why does it matter, and why it needs a specific subject and education. And related to that, I'll tell you what do we aim with our program, how we develop the program contact, why do we believe it is unique and important, and also why it is worth applying and who is going to benefit by this particular program, which we think is kind of a niche program, unique in the way it is set. Then I'll share with you where do our graduates go. And along the way, I'll be presenting ongoing and future initiatives that we have in place or plan to improve the program. So starting with the current leadership, I'm the director of the program. I just joined last year. So this is my first info session, and I really hope it is informative for you. I'm supported and helped by my co-director and colleague, Dr. Raj Mazumdar. So Dr. Mazumdar and I are the two purely dry biologists or bioinformaticians in our department and actually in the School of Medicine in general. We are very, very much supported by our department chair, Dr. Rongli. Sorry, I don't know why it is moving so fast. So Dr. Rongli is very well-known leader in cancer biology, in breast cancer particularly. And as I said, he is very supportive to the program, and very supportive of all of the students. And here at the end, you see Joel Diaz. So Joel is our assistant and manager, also extremely helpful person, but also current student in our master program. So Joel also has medical education from India, and this is just to link to when I will be presenting what kind of people join the program. In other words, if you decide to join, what your colleagues will be. So a little bit of how did it start? It started approximately 15 years ago by Dr. Jack van der Hoek, who is now emeritus professor from our department. And by the time it started, it was actually regarded as one of the first programs in the United States that was focused exclusively on genome-wide applications in medicine and biology. And as you can see here, medicine and biology are kind of highlighted. This is because at this time, around 2010, most of the degrees available in bioinformatics were much more related to the computational aspect of it, rather than to the applied aspect into medicine and biology. So a little bit later, Dr. Mazumdar joined the department, and he brought with him the bioinformatics expertise. So he is a trained bioinformatician. And at this moment, the program had two tracks, one in biochemistry and one in bioinformatics. Currently, since the last year, we joined that into one single track of bioinformatics, and I'll tell you more about it later. Now, the last person who I wanted to present is Dr. Manjari Timri, who is currently actively teaching in the program. Dr. Dimri is an MD, and she is absolutely amazing teacher. She has received multiple awards for her teaching, and is very much appreciated. So for years, she was also a director of the program, and I took this role from her last year, as I mentioned. A little bit about our department. As I said, you'll be keeping, you'll be seeing our department name here, Biochemistry and Molecular Biology, or it will be abbreviated in my slides as BMM. So we have in our department PIs. All of our PIs are very well known, very successful leaders in their field. Most of them are NIH funded. Actually, all of them, all of the active researchers are NIH funded. And the subjects that we are mostly working with are cancer, metabolism, and human diseases. We are located in the School of Medicine. And here you can see it. So this is the abbreviation for the School of Medicine and Health Scientists, where we collaborate with a very strong team specializing in pharmacology, neurobiology, and tropical diseases. Now, an additional feature which is part of our BMM department is here McCormick Bioinformatics Core, or MBC, which I also direct. So this is a team of professional bioinformaticians who help the researchers and the physicians with their data analysis. So this core is very much interlinked with the program, with the MS program, and we frequently actually employ people from the program to help us with this analysis after they go through the training. Now, in terms of fellow students, you, if you join, will be surrounded by a very dynamic and friendly environment. We make sure to provide you and to support a lot of scientific and social team activities. From the feedback we hear from the students, they really enjoy those and are very helpful. So the whole idea is to build a community that is very friendly, collaborative, works together, and also have fun together and a lot of other activities. Finally, we are supported by a very helpful administration. All of the people working in our administration are very familiar with the program and always willing to help. So now I will move into a couple of words of what is bioinformatics. And I took from internet several very short descriptions. So bioinformatics is where biology meets algorithms, and that sounded about right, but we can say a lot of things of what bioinformatics is. Now, it is also the place where the big data turns into medical or biomedical or biological discoveries. And it is all about these molecules reading and understanding the code of life, or the code that is in these molecules, all the information into these molecules. And why are these molecules so important? Why it is so important to be bioinformaticians? First of all, because they're huge, they're humongous, and not only they're humongous, but they are extremely complex. And not only they're big and complex, they also interact with multiple more big and complex molecules into a very, very dynamic system. So we cannot simply see them under a microscope and figure them out. We need to use complicated computational approaches that can help us uncover the information they bring. Now, these molecules, you see DNA here everywhere, are also very, I would say, social. They like to interact with each other most of the time. Sometimes they don't like to interact. Sometimes they work, they're extremely dynamic. Sometimes they don't work. And even there are sometimes where they do the opposite of what they're supposed to do. So for us, bioinformaticians, it is important not only to understand why they behave in a certain way, but also to be able to predict their behavior, and even further to be able to manipulate their behavior into the direction that we want. For example, we would like to be able to turn resistant molecules resistant to treatment, into molecules sensitive to treatment. So for all of that, we need to understand big data and to link it to biology. Hence, the place where biology meets algorithms. Now, a couple of things that I would really want to highlight. Many people think that bioinformatics is only possible in collaboration with wet biologists or with physicians, which typically generate their data based on the questions they have. So they produce new data, they collaborate with us bioinformaticians in order to analyze their data and hopefully find the answer of their questions. Now, more and more, if you graduate in bioinformatics, you will be able to do your absolutely own research. And this is because there is humongous amount of new data as we speak accumulated and deposited and accumulated online. So now if you're really interested in a question and you look for data that can possibly answer this question, it is really possible to, if not completely answer it, at least give you a strategy how to approach it. There is the statistics related to that. There is statistics that shows that there is a constantly widening, growing gap between so I use the canceromics data example, but it's actually absolutely every big data in biology. The generation of the data and the interpretation of the findings from this data. Why is that? Because most of the approaches are omics-wide, so they're genome-wide, transcriptome-wide, which means that the researchers, when they're interested in a question, they generate data that is coming from the entire genome. But then only part of this data serves to answer their question, and the rest of the data remains just stored there, waiting to be, analyzed and interpreted. So that's why keep in mind, if you join this field, it is totally possible for you to develop into your own scientist that leads their own laboratory, their own research, their own company. Now, a little history of how bioinformatics developed. So it started in the 50s, 70s, when the concept of bioinformatics was still not available, not there, but all started with the double helix discovered by Watson and Crick. And you can see it here. You saw a lot of icons of that, but these are some of the first drawings of DNA coming from them. And this is an X-ray, which suggested the double helix structure. Now, a couple of other discoveries, the sequencing of the first protein, the first alignment algorithm, Sanger sequencing, all of that actually made the basis, established the foundation of the thing that we currently know as bioinformatics. Yet, back then, all of these were sporadic and not really quickly accumulating. And everything changed a little bit later, starting with the 80s, when gene banks started accumulating sequences. So now, with this growing knowledge of different sequencing and the experience of how they look, people started thinking more and more about big data. And in the early 80s, for the first time, the term bioinformatics was invented. Now, a couple of years later, EMBL, which is the European Molecular Biology Lab, they opened their own sequencing databases, which complemented the gene bank and actually turned into extremely powerful resource, which enabled several years later, as you know, 1990s, the start of the Human Genome Project. Now, 11 years later, the first draft of the human genome was released. And now, 10 years later, next generation sequencing started to rise and multiomics appears. Multiomics, meaning different levels of omics, genomics, proteomics, transcriptomics, metabolomics. So now we were able to overlay information about one biological subject or organism at multiple different molecular levels. And now, as we speak, after 2020, with the emergence of artificial intelligence, single cell is like currently growing extremely fast, and the link to the precision medicine, the growth of bioinformatics actually turned into an exponential and even faster trend. So how the education initiatives responded to that progress? At the end of last century, the very first formal degree programs in bioinformatics were established, with the PhD in bioinformatics in Boston University, known as the very first one, started in 1997. Now, it was followed by University of California, Santa Cruz, who held the first the UCSC, not the first, but one of the major genome browsers. Then Stanford, CSHL, Georgia Institute of Technology, these are Cold Spring Harbor laboratories. So all of these are some of the first programs in bioinformatics. And then around 2010, actually, our program started. And as I said, it was regarded as one of the first in the US that was focused exclusively on genome-wide applications with concrete scenarios to be applied in medicine and biology. And when we were talking about bioinformatics, I just wanted to finish with some of the definitions that I found and I liked. So the first one is from Margaret Teyhoff, which is frequently called the mother of bioinformatics. Each protein sequence that is established, each evolutionary mechanism that is illuminated, each major innovation in phylogenetic history that is revealed will improve our understanding of the history of life, which I believe is totally true. Now, another sentence from Obi Griffith, medical and biological sciences are essentially data sciences now. So you see how that kind of describes the bioinformatics. And the last one from Jean-Michel Claverie. Bioinformatics goes way beyond trendy. It is the center, It is the center of the most recent developments in biology, such as the deciphering of the human genome. So with that, I hope I convinced it can provide real-world solutions in cancer genomics, in precision therapies, in COVID, and you can develop vaccines, agriculture solutions, and so on and so on. Now, for you and for us as bioinformaticians, that could be really a successful and very forward-looking career path. And that can happen if you're a research scientist or in academia, then it can happen in pharma and biotech companies, in clinics, and all of these paths are promising to be very successful currently in this moment when the bioinformatics is on the rise, and also a lot of job openings. Actually, the number of job openings in bioinformatics is also on the rise currently. Now, who applies for our program? So I mentioned that if you put together the computational disciplines on one side, which are information technology, database management, computational resources, computer science, mathematical and statistical sciences, and then on the other side, you put the scientific disciplines such as molecular biology, genetics, medicine, agriculture, evolution, pharmaceutics, omics, then bioinformatics is what is supposed to merge those together. So the people who apply very frequently come from one of these two sides. They can come from computer science. They can have computer science background, but they can also be pure wet lab biologists, and very often they're physicians, sometimes they're dentists. Now, in order to make them bioinformaticians, the computer science background applicants need to get scientific knowledge or molecular biology, biological knowledge, and then the applicants from the biology aspect need to get computational knowledge and expertise, which ultimately makes the bioinformaticians people who know very well two different fields. It's extremely interdisciplinary, but also you understand how much more complicated it is than any of these fields on its own. So it is a big effort, the big responsibility, but also humongous potential. Now, in order to make this really happen, we have developed a curriculum that addresses, we believe, the needs of all of these types of applicants. So on one side, we have biological disciplines. We have like pure molecular biology and molecular medicine courses. We cover every aspect of omics, including analysis, integration, interpretation. We also, so I started teaching last year, made from scratch, and started teaching advanced genomic data analysis from bulk and single cell data. Now that's on the side of biological disciplines. On the side of computer sciences, we do teach coding. We introduce you in a lot of details with some software and applications. And since, so during the last 2 years, we started developing AI classes. And these AI classes, we are trying to make very specific and very applicable, particularly for bioinformaticians. So they are, first of all, set to be applicable. So there are classes for beginners as well as classes for people who already have some experience in AI. And all of them are specifically set to address applications in medicine and biology. When it comes to bioinformatics, of course, many of these are on the interface between biological and computing sciences. Sorry about my screen, it moves on its own, feels like. So when it comes to applicable bioinformatics or applied bioinformatics, we do have particular course on applied bioinformatics. We teach databases, sources, browsers, and a lot of other resource-related subjects. We work with big data. We show you how to identify it, how to transfer it, how to analyze it. But also we work with real case studies. And this is extremely important because our students are typically assigned a project which they can start from the beginning to the end, and they'll have a real answer with real data. So the data will be some of the data that somebody generated and placed online. It is publicly available. And our students analyze this kind of data to get real answers. And we're very proud of that because it gives us touch to what is really the application of bioinformatics. Now, what makes us unique? We believe that we are trying to accommodate a lot of different scenarios that can serve you as students. So I already spoke about the curriculum. We believe that our curriculum is very well set to address, as I said, biologists and computer science people, graduates. But also there are several other interesting things that we provide or we offer to make you, once you graduate, to make much more competitive in the job market. So first of all, we guarantee internship. We don't guarantee that it will be paid, but we guarantee that you will have an internship either with somebody from the department or with some of our collaborators such as NIH, FDA, and a lot of companies in the area. Now, another thing that we started last year and we find it extremely important, we now not only encourage, we support all of the students to be participants in a peer-reviewed publication. In cases where they really contribute and actually they lead a project, they are first author publications. Many of our students anyways do have publications, but now we're trying to make that a must for every student. So for that, we work with the PIs so that they can help the students to work on their own research and be involved in included in a publication. So this peer-reviewed publication, for those of you who are not familiar, they're extremely important for your future steps. The publication is something that stays with you all your careers. It is aligned in your CV and it is very well accepted everywhere in both industry and academia. Now, another thing that we have is full-time job accommodation. All of the classes that our department of biochemistry and molecular medicine offers, they are scheduled outside of working hours. So we usually have our classes after 4 o'clock. Now, in addition, so if you have a job that is in regular working hours, it is totally possible that you keep this job and you're still a student. Now, we are a very flexible program. So with us, you can graduate for 2, 3, or 4 semesters. You can take a thesis or non-thesis track, and you can start in either fall or spring. We have adjusted our schedules that it works flexibly for a lot of students. And now I already mentioned that another thing that we find very attractive is that we work with real world cases. We're trying to give every student a piece, a real challenge to solve during their tenure here in GW. Now, what else makes this program attractive? We do collaborate very well with all the institutes and all like the units around us, all the schools around us. So this is the School of Public Health, School of Medicine, Health Sciences, all departments. We are part of the School of Medicine, School of Engineering, Cancer Center, and so on. All of these people are extremely well connected to us. Many of our students go there for internships or for projects. Now, we have both very well funded wet lab establishment as well as very well organized high performance computing clusters that are approved for sensitive human data and are responsive to all the regulations to work with any kind of data which is, believe it or not, rare and difficult to obtain. So we made sure that we can really work with real world cases. We support targeted cancer informatics niche, where we do have groups, like group meetings and seminars that are particularly in cancer informatics. So cancer biology, by the way, is one of the major topics in our department. Most of the PIs work in cancer. As I mentioned, some work in metabolism. I mentioned the McCormick Bioinformatics core. So these are, again, trained bioinformaticians who are always there to help you if you need some help. And finally, we are located, as Nicola mentioned, here in this area that is close to NIH, close to Federal Health Agency, a lot of biotech companies. So all of that makes it possible for you to start a really strong path in your career after you join our program. Now, since I started, I decided to introduce several initiatives. One of them is, so I speak one-to-one with absolutely every student to help them tailor their schedule, their program to their needs and their aims. As I said, a lot of different people come here with different backgrounds and different aims. So we have made our curriculum flexible enough to address all of those. Now, we do help. I particularly and personally am involved in trying to help students to sign for classes, electives that are outside our department, including in the School of Engineering, Computer Science department, and so on. So if you come from biology and you need education in computer science, which can happen in different schools, we will support you in that. It is also, I mean, it may sound intuitive, but actually sometimes classes are full, sometimes it is difficult. We work on that. We also provide access to a lot of webinars, seminars, short courses related to professional development, opportunities in the area, future research, and so on and so on. And finally, we just started these 2 new courses, so in AI, that are particularly settled to biology and medicine. So the first one is AI in cancer genomics with a focus on single cell cancer genomics. And the second one is broader AI applications with smaller projects, which will be specifically tailored to biology from start to end. So even if you are absolutely new for AI, you will be led step by step how to set up a project, what models to use, how to use them, how to select the best one, and what kind of projects are more suitable for, or what kind of models are more suitable for different projects. And it is also hands-on, practical course. Both are hands-on courses. Actually, most of our courses in bioinformatics are hands-on. You start with the computer and we work with you to walk you through the entire project. Now, how do you apply? So the best information place is the GW graduate admission page. And this is where you'll find the most updated information. Just in general, you're probably familiar, but I'll briefly list things that you need. Of course, your transcripts, statement of purpose, which is up to 500 words, letters of recommendation. It is better if you have more, like it's strong to have good letters of recommendation. GRE is not required, but if you have it, it may help. And if you are non-native English speaker, we need English proficiency test. Now, the typical deadlines for the spring admission is October 1st and April 1st for fall admission. Keep in mind that sometimes there is difference between international and domestic applicants, so keep an eye on that. Now, once you are accepted, how we're trying to help you. We do understand that funding is important and we do understand how difficult financially a graduate program could be. And this is why we put every effort forward to actually support you financially. Here is what we offer. We offer TA-ships, which are semester long, which means we can rotate more and more students into that. So keep in mind that you will have 2, 3, or 4 semesters, and the likelihood is that at least one of the semesters you'll get an internship, a TA-ship, sorry. So the TA-ship currently pays a little bit more than $1,000 per month as a salary and covers some credit work. Now, merit-based awards are given upon your acceptance. After your acceptance, they're usually up to 3 awards per year, and they range between 5 and 50K. They're purely merit-based awards, and they're applied to your credits for the duration of 2 semesters. So they're equally split among the first and second semester of your studies, given that the second semester you keep high GPA. Now, which is above 3.2, I believe. Now, research opportunities with the principal investigator. We work with all of our PIs, and they are very open now to take you in their labs. So now these so-called internships very often turn into a paid internship. So after a couple of months, if the PI is happy with you and you're happy staying in this PI's lab, you can start getting, so you're allowed up to 20 hours per week payment. And also this lab can turn into your thesis lab. The way it works, we do have orientation sessions every semester, and you get to know the PIs in our department. You can also sign with the PI from the School of Medicine and a different department. And usually what happens is that these PIs are asking you to help with their wet lab project with data analysis. And during the process where you learn and you're taking your courses, you also start feeling more familiar with data analysis. So you start helping them. And again, if everything goes well, typically after a couple of months, you are offered paid internship. Now, the final thing I already mentioned, we do maintain a flexible schedule that can help you keep your full-time job if you're working already in the area, or find a job within GW or outside, like in the area. Whatever job you can find, we are supportive for that. So these are our classes, the BMM classes. Keep in mind that classes in other schools do not necessarily schedule outside working hours. So in this case, you have to kind of figure out the schedule. Now, once you graduate, these are all real pictures from real people who graduate from our program. This is Jane Ulyanova, who was My student, she is extremely successful currently. But first of all, where you continue after that? Oh, more graduates, very happy. So we're very proud that our students actually have quite great statistics of their postgraduate employment and career continuation. So here on the right, I'll start from right to left. You see people who stayed at GW. So some of them had PhD before that, others entered the PhD program, graduated, but they are employed by George Washington University. Some of them are PhD students. Actually, many are PhD students. Very often, our master program is a step for a PhD program. You see Helen here. She is actually a very, very respected, very well respected professor in University of Pikeville. That's, by the way, extremely great job that she found. Turkey is our example of international student who found a great job back in his own country. And these are just very few of the examples. And Mercedes here, she is actually my first student in 2000. She graduated in 2013. She did a PhD and a postdoc in Harvard, and then she went into Yale School of Medicine, where she was assistant professor for many years. Currently, she is also half-time employed by a company. So amazing places. Again, these are only examples, and I just wanted to invite you to read also the testimonials of our graduates, which you can find on our site. Now, this is all from me. I think that I made it just on time. And I really want to thank you for the attention. And I'm going now to turn back to Nicola